Browns and Steelers are gearing up for their biggest matchup in like 15 years. Browns coming in at 4-1 for the first time since 1994. Bill Belichick was at the helm at that point. Steelers are 4-0 for the first time since 1979. Nick, that was like 10 years before I was born. Head coach Mike Tomlin ready for a battle in the Burgh. Delivered this, Tomlin. You know what? Don't even do the math. Just trust me. Tomlin said, we love being in the kitchen, and AFC North fall is in the kitchen. It's hot in the north. Let's just keep talking sports. Tomlin, not kidding around, he just crowded at the top of the AFC North. Pittsburgh, Baltimore, look at that. Cleveland, all with 4 wins. When was the last time we saw that? Which makes Sunday's game even bigger. Greg Jennings is back with us. Greg, which team do you think more likely to dethrone the Ravens as AFC North champs? The Cleveland Browns or the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Be careful.
This is a tough question. This is a tough question. And for me...
That's why we asked
it. It's
not. when I look at the Cleveland Browns, as much as I like this team, I'm going to go with the Cleveland Browns. And this is why.
Oh, yes!
I'm going to go to the Cleveland Browns because everybody's excited about how many passing yards per game these quarterbacks and the numbers that are being put up. This team knows who they are. They run the football. They possess the game. We heard Mike Tomlin say it. And they play sound enough defense, and they get the ball back to an offense that already holds on to the ball pretty well. So when you look at that combination, when you talk about complementary play, that's what the Cleveland Browns have been doing. Everybody has been all enamored and been ingratiated in how many numbers quarterbacks and passing games have been putting up. The Cleveland Browns are like, look, we haven't gotten there yet. We haven't checked that box, but we know who we are. And the Ravens, they're at the top of when it comes to running the football and stopping the run. So is Cleveland. And the Pittsburgh Steelers are right there, too. So this is a great division, and they all understand who they are. Well, not all of them yet, because the Bengals are left out there by themselves. But these 3 teams, the Steelers, the Ravens, and the Cleveland Browns, they know who they are right now.
Greg, brother, you're one of my all-time favorite wide receivers. You,
here we go.
Derek Mason, Brandon Stokely, Jason Avant. Like, there's some names that people just don't talk about when we talk about the wide receiver position. I'm taking your jersey down. That was, I'm sorry, bro. It's like you just picked the Cleveland Browns. Your jersey is hanging on my wall behind me, and I'm taking it down. I can't believe you went with the Cleveland Browns. Basically, you're saying that you would rather play for Baker Mayfield over Ben Roethlisberger. That's what you're telling me, Greg.
That is not what I'm telling you.
No, that's
this was not about me.
He's saying... Right. And Greg, you're also saying that, tell me if I'm wrong, even if you think Ben is better right now than Baker, the rest of the Browns team knows what they are and can function at a higher level. Like, this is not it's not an anti-Steelers take, Brandon, to say the answer is Cleveland. Cleveland got annihilated, got their teeth kicked in by Baltimore. Since then, they're averaging 38 points per game, and they might have the best pass rusher
against
in the entire NFL. Well, Indy wasn't a terrible team, Brandon.
Terrible teams.
Indy and the number... hold on. Indy wasn't no terrible team. Hold on. Indy wasn't no terrible team. #1 defense in football.
Not a terrible team,
but their flowers.
Their linebackers were their linebackers banged up. Someone had one of their guys had surgery on his thumb.
Darius Leonard was out. I understand.
But if you're gonna growing injury.
Sure, that's fine. But if you're going to play the terrible team card, that the opposition's been no good, your answer can't be the Steelers, whose 4 wins have come against teams with a combined 3 wins themselves. They've played the worst schedule of any team in the league so far. Yeah.
Okay, this is why I'm picking the Steelers. And you're correct there, right? That's a fact. But here's also a fact. the Steelers' identity hasn't changed in 25 years. They do the same thing on defense, the same thing on offense that they were doing 25 years ago. And that's what makes the Steelers great. Now you insert a healthy Ben Roethlisberger. He's playing really good. Connor is averaging 5 yards a carry. They're a power O running offense. You got young receivers emerging. You just saw what the young kid Claypool just did. And then on the defensive side, they're third in the league in defense, and they're number 1 in sacks. And that's why I'm picking the Pittsburgh Steelers. They got their work cut out for them because they're going against Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens, who obviously is really good. But I'm leaning on the Pittsburgh Steelers here.
Okay, Brandon, we talk about the offensive line. Let's just talk about Myles Garrett. I think Myles Garrett ends up deciding this game. He's tied with Aaron Donald for the lead in quarterback pressures with 33. Not even talking about the other media narrative that I think he has something to prove here. So, Greg, do you think in the battle between the Pittsburgh offensive line and Myles Garrett, I think Myles Garrett has more to prove than anyone on this field right now, that he's still mad at the Steelers and he wants to get to Ben Roethlisberger. I think he's going to be a problem on Sunday.
Wild, you bring up a fascinating point. Anytime a player feels like they were wronged, even though we see this footage and we know he was wrong for the reaction, period. Brutal. Doesn't matter what was said, how it was said, the reaction, it was gruesome. It should not have ever taken place. He understands that. However, he wants to take it out on every single one of those offensive players. Look at what he's looking at. We're seeing this. He's seeing it as well. Like, he remembers that. He will always be reminded of that, and he will always have an extra something that motivates him, that gets him excited about trying to annihilate this offensive line and get to Ben Roethlisberger. And we're talking about a Myles Garrett that doesn't need any extra incentives to get to a quarterback because he does it better than a lot of guys in the league.
Well, if that's the case, then I'm going to tell Myles Garrett, look, bro, move on. Control what you can control. I remember talking to Pete Carroll years ago when I was leaving Denver and Seattle wanted me to come. And I'm sitting down with Pete, and he asked me, he said, tell me about the matchups. And I talked about Champ Bailey in practice, and I talked about Quentin Jammer in San Diego. I talked about your guy, Wilson, and Al Harris in Green Bay. And he said, well, why do you get up for those guys and you don't, and not for those other guys that may be 4th rounders, 5th rounders, or no-name guys? He said, approach every game the same, because if you try to come in with emotions, then you're not going to be a champion. And that's what I would say to Myles Garrett. Move on. You're playing lights out right now. Just continue to play the way you're playing, and everything will take care of itself in between the lines.
And Jenna, listen, no matter who he's playing against, Myles Garrett is one of the 15 best players of any position in the entire league. Post-rookie season,
I agree,
he is averaging 1 sack a game with 8 forced fumbles in 30 games. He's unbelievable, and I agree with Wilds. He could decide the game, Jenna.
All right, Greg Jennings, as always, thank you so much. Wait till you guys hear where Le'Veon Bell could possibly land next season.